So, my New Year's resolution was to start up my long neglected YouTube channel again. And right out of the starting gate, I made a film review, which I thought was really good and really funny. But despite legally owning a copy of the film I reviewed and demonetizing my video on YouTube, and despite the fact that there are like 20 other reviews of this film on YouTube, and most importantly, despite the fact that I had made something very transformative, as was per every guideline I could find on fair use, the copyright holder of the movie I did review had my review taken down on a copyright strike within literal seconds of me posting it to YouTube. So what do? I tried a counterclaim, but of course, YouTube's not going to do jack for some diddly-dee little less than 200 subscriber channel like mine. So your next step is pretty much to pout for a few months and then, get back on the horse. But this time, in order to avoid any future heartache, I have decided I would review the most public domainist thing I could find on the Perlinger archives.
Well, that's a terrible sound.
Anyway,
This is A Day Called X, a 1957 ephemeral film detailing the evacuation procedures of Portland, Oregon, were there to be a nuclear air raid.
You've heard the reports that enemy planes are approaching. In less than 3 hours, an H-bomb might fall over.
It goes into some incredible detail, and I feel that
on second thought, I don't want to watch A Day Called X. Let's just take a coffee break.
In the 1940s through till the 1960s, the Missouri-based Calvin Company was the undisputed leader in industrial educational films. This 1958 film deals with the then recently introduced problem of mandatory breaks during shifts and the employees who abuse them. Wait, is this Days of Our Lives? Are we watching the right film? Does anybody know if maybe... Oh, never mind, my bad.
A present from the boss, to be used twice daily as a memento of how time flies. A funny present?
Nope.
Well, it's all according to what you mean by funny.
It's not funny.
It's no laughing matter.
Nobody's arguing that. It's an hourglass.
In fact, it has to do with a very serious problem.
Well, let's see. 1958, Cold War, economic recession, mounting pressure from the civil rights movement, nuclear testing. Hey, it's nuclear testing, isn't it?
Well, it seems like some people just don't know how to tell time. According to the boss, it's costing the company thousands of dollars every year.
Thousands of dollars we could be spending on hourglasses.
Now, don't get me wrong. I like coffee. It's up to me to figure out a way for the people to realize that a coffee break means 10 minutes, or 15 at the most. Seems like a small thing to get upset about, but it's pretty big when it comes to dollars and cents. You'd be surprised, like I was in the boss's office.
Buonasera. Buonasera. What have I ever done to make you treat me so disrespectfully?
Come on. It had to be done.
The extent of the problem is pointed up by the fact that today, more than 7 out of 10 workers are taking their coffee breaks, as compared with only half this number 10 years ago. Now listen to this. The hot cups of coffee enjoyed by about 27 million Americans is costing industry more than $1 billion annually. We're not a big operation, Joe. 400 people on the payroll. Even so, I'd bet my bottom butt the coffee break is costing us at least $30,000 a year.
All right, well, how many dollars a year are stupid boss rants costing us?
That's right, $30,000. All that has to happen, and it does happen, is for half of our people to take an extra 10 minutes. Now figure it out.
Make me.
Go on, figure it out.
Okay, fine. Based on a salary of $4,500 a year, which, as far as I can tell, is pretty standard for 1958, and a 40-hour work week, disregarding holidays just for the sake of simplicity here, then employees are earning 32 cents for 10 minutes, times the 200 employees supposedly taking these extra coffee breaks, times 2 coffee breaks per day. Yeah, actually, you're losing about $33,000 a year. Go figure. Although it should be noted that if it were this day and age, 7 out of 10 of your employees would not be taking their coffee breaks. 10 out of 10 of your employees would be taking their coffee breaks, and they would be 15-minute coffee breaks. So you just stay there in 1958. Like, seriously, don't even advance to the 60s.
Okay, but what can we do about it?
You can act like a man! What's the matter with you?
Why does The Godfather fit this film so well?
A coffee break is almost an American institution. You can't just call them off. You'd start a revolution.
Is there a
I'm
better
not talking
solution?
about the break itself.
Involving
That's
prostitution.
another 10 minutes. Another 30,000.
Well, now, there's more to this than meets the eye.
You can say that again. A lot more. For the past 2 weeks, I've studied the coffee break habits of our people.
Hey, Mac, it's about that time.
Man, you are so right. Shop early and avoid the crowd, huh?
Got a match?
I think so.
I must have left mine at the bowling alley last night.
Are these guys supposed to remind me of a Bugs Bunny cartoon?
Here we are.
Time for coffee.
The hour's approaching to give it your best, and you've got to reach your prime. That's when you need to push yourself to the test and show us a passage of time. We're gonna need a montage. Ooh, it takes a montage.
I edited the music in. I didn't edit that music in.
Those minutes that mean nothing to the employee cost this organization a lot of dough.
Dude, just be glad the outdoor cigarette break hasn't been invented yet. Geez, the 2010s would drive this guy mental.
However, I do think that there's a danger of losing sight of the worker's viewpoint.
Okay, I go along with that. That's one of the reasons why you're here.
Well, Al, the average worker thinks of himself as being chained to a desk with mountains of work around him that never gets done.
How did 1958 get that actual footage of my office?
Well, if the worker has only 10 minutes, is it possible for him to get to the place, get his coffee, and get back in that length of time?
Well, I hate to put it like this, Joe, but that's not my problem.
Well, it isn't, and yet it is, if the situation results in lost time.
Any suggestions?
What about coffee dispensers located in certain areas?
Coffee dispensers are located here, here, and here. Please remain seated and keep your arms and legs inside the office.
No good. Amalgamated tried that. They really did it up brown.
Beg pardon?
They really did it up brown. Stood the expense.
Okay, so after some poking around on the internet, it would seem the general consensus is that did it up brown is just an outdated expression meaning to do something well or thoroughly, possibly derived from the way food will become brown when thoroughly cooked. Oh, come on.
You were all thinking it too.
That's racist!
And at first, everybody thought it was a great idea. It was something for nothing. Right away, the boss was a great guy. But it wasn't long until...
This is coffee?
And it wasn't long before human nature began to show through in other ways.
Ugh. Shameful the number of employees who have placed their disposable cups in the waste receptacles provided. Wait, what?
Speaking of problems, the company-sponsored coffee break has a few of its own.
Can you imagine Jake telling me how to run the shop? Can you imagine that? Telling me how to...
please.
I'll tell you, listen, there's two things that...
When they take too long at the coffee break, they start yakking and slipping the knife into each other like a bunch of old women.
Right, so either old lady knife fights were very prevalent in 1958, or that metaphor was weird.
But now let's consider one of my pet peeves. Women.
One of my pet peeves as well. Carry on, good sir.
Of course, they all have to stop by the powder room. Their 10 minutes is gone with a cigarette and putting on a new face. And where do they go on the way back to the office? You guessed it, the powder room again. And all the readiness procedures and the countless little adjustments known only to a woman.
Actually, I'm a woman, and I have no idea what they just did there either.
Al, for the first time in our whole discussion, you're on tilt. Do I detect a bit of personal prejudice?
Anyway, how is your sex life?
To a degree, perhaps. But there's a lot of truth in what I've said. Certain people take from 30 to 45 minutes for a coffee break.
Well, I can remedy that.
You talk about vengeance. Is vengeance gonna bring your son back to you?
Okay, I'll stop with the Godfather clips. Maybe.
No, Joe, they're good workers. Otherwise, you'd have had their names long before this. Now you may have an educational problem on your hands. Our people must be taught not to take advantage of a situation that just grew like Topsy.
Aw, did it up brown, grew like Topsy. These late 50s colloquialisms are adorable. But what's a Topsy?
Ah, Topsy.
Of course you is, are. Why wouldn't you be? Okay, in order to understand the phrase grew like Topsy, or actually more commonly, growed like Topsy, you do need to know a bit about the blackface minstrel shows, which were unfortunately a popular form of entertainment from the 1830s right through to the 1930s, and persisted in some capacity to the end of the Jim Crow era in the mid-60s. Now, right prior to the Civil War, Harriet Beecher Stowe's anti-slavery novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, was topping the bestsellers list. Soon after, The Uncle Tom Show was born in response, a rather loose, pro-slavery retelling of Uncle Tom's Cabin, through blackface. Now, in both tellings, when asked where she came from, a character named Topsy, who's a young slave girl, responds, "I 'spect I just growed." Now, in the novel, this is taken to mean that the child has been so neglected that she doesn't even have a concept of who her mother might be, whereas in the Uncle Tom Show, it's more illustrative of these carefree slave children that just pop up out of nowhere because slavery's so awesome. Zippity frickin' doodah. So anyways, the phrase growed like Topsy just essentially means something unwanted that sprung up out of nowhere. And in 1958, the mandatory coffee break as a concept was only about 6 years old, so there you have it. It grew like Topsy. That phrase does not need to make a comeback. It is very racist.
Here's a present for you, Joe.
For me? Well, thanks.
Go on. Open it.
What the hell is this?
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
Okay, that was the last one, I swear. I just really like The Godfather, you guys.
Turn it over. Instead of an hour, this one measures 10 minutes. The theoretical length of time of one of our coffee breaks. Now, I want you to use this twice daily, at 10 and 3, for the length of time necessary for you to come up with a solution to our problem.
Well, at least it keeps me close to the problem. But it still leaves me with one vital unanswered question. What can be done about it?
Indeed, what can be done about the coffee break? Truly a question for our times. As for me, well, I'm out of coffee, so I will see you kids later. How would you like to come sit on Grandpa's lap? I honestly scared myself just a little.